October 29th, it will be a date that a lot of folks who live in the Northeast and New England will remember. That takes us to our Fox weather flashback. On this date in 2012, Sandy made landfall in New Jersey, sending massive waves into the Northeast. A buoy in the New York harbor. It measured a wave at what height? We have the options here: 12 feet, 15 feet, 32 feet, or 40 feet. We left that with you during the break. You guys, of course, know that answer remarkably. A 32-foot recording in New York Harbor.
Wow. That's crazy.
You think of how big and powerful this storm was. Sandy was a late season storm. It formed in the Central Caribbean as a tropical depression, intensified into a Category 3, Jamaica and Cuba. It path that it treaded along the eastern seaboard, it was disastrous. It made a final landfall in Atlantic City, New Jersey on October 29th. It was dubbed a superstorm. It left its mark on the Northeast. It was a costly storm. $82 billion in damage. It killed 159 people in the U.S. and the Caribbean. Michael, we look at some of this video.
Unbelievable.
Hard to imagine that a storm like this happened 12 years ago, especially now that we understand a little clearer for folks who've recently moved up here, how impactful this was in the Northeast.
I feel like this storm, whenever you're kind of talking to folks in and around the NYC area, everyone has a story about Sandy and how it impacted them and their family. When you look at it, it was actually the largest Atlantic hurricane on record as measured by diameter, with tropical storm force winds extending over 1,150 miles.
Wow.
And, the damage, incredibly severe, not just to structures, but also subterranean structures. You think about the subway system in New York City being compromised. This was a Herculean system.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Michael, you mentioned talking to folks in the area that survived Sandy. I live on Long Island now, and Long Island, unfortunately, just dealt a horrific blow from Sandy. More than 100,000 homes were damaged, and there was storm surge up to 12 feet in some areas. Waves thrashed the shoreline 17 feet. I mean, it was horrific, and you can still see the scars that are left behind on Long Island years later. So, I mean, it is a storm that is remembered by so many in the Northeast for generations, really.
Yeah, the research that has been done surrounding Sandy and more that's even still to be understood when we look at storms of the future, using Sandy as a reference. It was very unique, too, when we talk about this thing meteorologically speaking. It was late in the season, right? This hurricane becoming a Category 3 and then interacting with a trough that was sweeping over North America, caused it to lose its tropical characteristics, becoming this powerhouse of a storm. It easily can really take us into the weeds when we talk about things meteorologically speaking, but it's an important discussion, especially because of its impact. Let's bring in meteorologist Britta Merwin to break down that component of it, because it wasn't a hurricane at landfall in Jersey, but the impacts arguably almost greater than what a hurricane could produce.
And that's because you had a hurricane that went extratropical. And when that process happens, the wind field, it explodes to the point that Michael was pointing out, that 1,000-mile stretch of tropical storm force winds, that's pushing in the water. So that's how we got that impressive storm surge. And the kicker here is that it was the end of October. So imagine putting yourself in the shoes of folks that lived in Staten Island. They had 10 feet of water rushing into their home, and that was cold Atlantic water that they were sitting there waiting to be rescued. That's the story of many people that live on Staten Island, and that's just one community. So, you're talking about one of the most densely populated stretches in our country dealing with something that they really could not grasp their head around. So here's the nooks and crannies from the meteorological perspective. We have this powerful hurricane, Cat 3, that goes through the Caribbean, goes right up the eastern seaboard, and we have this cold front that's moving through. So naturally, people think, oh, well, the cold front's going to win out. It's going to push all this off to shore, with the exception of this, the blocking high. So leading up into this storm, the European model consistently was showing a left hook, a left hook, a left hook. It was so consistent that this blocking high was going to win out and cause the storm to retrograde. Typically, across the U.S., we have storms that go west to east. The opposite happened with Sandy, very similar to what happened with the perfect storm back in the 90s. This storm took that left hook and moved from east to west back into the coastline. And I think people just didn't want it to be true, but then when it really started taking shape and people realized, and there's so many times as meteorologists that this happens, that you see the forecast and then reality starts to catch up and you have the gut check and you're like, wow, this is really going to happen. So the power of this storm, just to mark this, it was a Category 1 right offshore. You're talking about maybe 90 miles offshore. It still had its tropical characteristics. Then it makes that transformation. And when you go extratropical, it means that the power is coming from a temperature difference. We see that blow up of the wind field and then this intense storm surge. The peak storm surge on Long Island was 12.65 feet in Kings Point. That's a massive amount of water. The internal pressure of this storm went down to 945. To give you a comparison, the Long Island Express, one of the most epic hurricanes ever felt across this area, was in 1938. The internal pressure for that was 941. So Superstorm Sandy was only 4 millibars off of that for the internal pressure. We had 8.5 million power outages. People were without power between Jersey, Connecticut, and Long Island, lower Hudson Valley, for weeks on end. And it is also known as the year without Halloween. They literally canceled Halloween. No child in the tri-state area had Halloween, which of course is so minor compared to everything else. But when you live through natural disasters, it's those little things that are normal to a community that just are icing on the cake. So this is literally a storm that there's life before Sandy and life after. There's still open lots on the Jersey Shore. And you know exactly why they're open. That iconic image of the bridge going into the water with a home in the middle, that's Manahawkin, New Jersey. And guess what? There's still at least 4 open lots in Manahawkin that have never been built on 12 years later.
Yeah.
It's all because of Sandy.
That delineation between life before Sandy and after Sandy, that resonates because you talk to people and that's always the discussion. Each area has it, and what insight, meteorologically speaking, it was a powerful storm. Meteorologist Britta Merwin, appreciate that.